I want to talk about Kyle Shanahan now, Jason. And he lands in Cleveland. First of all, are you surprised that he gets a gig in Cleveland, and is that a good job for Kyle?
Well, it's not a good job for anybody. I mean, that ownership group has done a horrible job. There's no other way you can really put it. Now, to me, when I saw Kyle took that job, that's Kyle wanting to be in the league, not wanting to have to sit out a year.
That's exactly
which I get that. I mean, he could have sit out a year. He's under contract next year with the Redskins, but I'm sure there's offset language in there, so that'll take care of that. But Kyle did not want to be out of the game for a year, but that's not a good job. And when you look at the farcical situation you had with hiring the head coach. And now, Kyle was up for the job in Baltimore, didn't get that. He just didn't want to be out the league for a year. So, maybe he can get there and do a good job and get out of there as quickly as possible.
Go ahead, Dan.
I mean, that's certainly that's a conventional weapon, but that's what I was going to say. They do have some weapons. And with Josh Gordon, certainly a more dangerous weapon than anyone he had in Washington. I think we'd agree on that. Who knows what they're going to do at quarterback, but they also have a bunch of really high draft picks. And they have a strong defense.
I think they had 5 All-Pros on that roster.
Yeah, I'm not saying
but a lot of that was on defense.
I understand why you say it's not a great situation, but I think with Gordon and with the draft picks, and I think that there's some potential to, if he can show that he can move the ball and score points in Cleveland, and people are going to say, well, if he can do it in Cleveland, what could he do for us?
Well, that's true. If he can do it in Cleveland, he can do it anywhere. It's not going to happen. It's not. It's Cleveland. It's not going to happen. But I agree with Jay. He took that job because nobody else wanted him. Let's be clear. You're not going to take a Cleveland job after this because you want to go work in Cleveland. He didn't have any choice, and he's in a dangerous place because if he wins, if he plays his hands right, then he is able to name his position on a different team at a certain time. Might even put himself in position to be a head coach if he's able to be productive. If he's not, he's going to be a position coach for the rest of his career.
Yeah, but if he's not, doesn't he have the argument to fall back on? It's Cleveland. Nobody succeeds
here. No,
you
only get so many excuses.
Okay.
He wasn't able to finish it. It looked like a very good deal in Houston. You left Houston where you were gaining a lot of momentum in your reputation. You totally destroyed that here. Now, if you're using his dad as an excuse, then you've given him one reprieve by saying it was his dad. He went somewhere else. You can't keep giving a person excuses. He'll be able to get a job in this league, but ultimately people are looking for production. There are so many. It's so competitive with coaches as well as players. There are other coaches that are showing that they're competitive and they're good at this and are able to get other guys.
He could be coaching 20 years from now.
That's true. And that may be in the latter half of his career that he's able to resurface, but you can forget about it right now if he doesn't make it work.
In the last minute that we have, Jason, Kirk Cousins, likely, unlikely, what percentage odds would you give Kyle for actually looking at Cousins as an option in Cleveland?
Well, first of all, I don't know how much juice Kyle's going to have to do that type of thing. I mean, he's coming into a situation where.
Would he want to consider him?
Well, I think he'd want to consider it. I mean, I definitely think he'd want to consider it. But if you're the let's flip it around. Let's look at it from the Redskins' perspective. You don't know what Griffin is going to be next year, and he's already shown a history of injury situations. So, I mean, people like, well, trade Cousins. Well, what are you going to get for Cousins? I mean, he didn't play well last year. I remember Mike said, on the radio, oh, you can get a 1. Well, no.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a 4.
Who said that?
Shanahan. he was.
Where's he?
That was before Cousins.
Great
played, wasn't
decision maker.
Anyway,
he staked his reputation on back.
It was a 4.
Grossman.
It was a 4. I don't see anybody giving them more than a 4 for him right now.
You would draft. If you're going to give up a 4 draft pick, you're going to draft a quarterback.
Dan, is Kyle going to the front office in Cleveland saying, "Hey, we should make a run at Kirk Cousins"?
He's not the head coach there.
Right.
This is not like.
But the head coach is a new guy too.
He is a new guy, but if they're gonna start over with a new quarterback, I think you draft a quarterback at that point. It seems unlikely to me.
He's a coordinator, though, right?
Would you agree, LeVar, on
He's an offensive coordinator. He could have enough pull to say,
maybe
I've worked with him. I've got a year in. You're about to run my system here. Let's go. Let's try to get him.
Yeah.
But
I think Lombardi, the GM, has kind of not been high on Cousins in the past, right?
I can't recall.
That'd be the only way you get a draft pick outside of. And again, if you're going
Well,
to
the
use
value
a
is a
late
whole
round,
different conversation. The value.
If
They
you're-
may not come to an agreement.
if you're
but-
going to use a late round draft pick, forget about it because you can just draft a quarterback if you're going to use a late round.
All right.